10 years in the NBA, Ryan Hollins, now the Houston Rockets TV analyst, is joining us in studio. It's great to see him again. So before we get to last night's games, I want to go to a game. Ben Simmons will join the circus, the Brooklyn Nets. So listen, the experiment so far is a first-round exit, a second-round exit, and they're down 0-2, Ryan. It ain't great. Simmons could be a life preserver. There's limitations. My takeaway, though, when you look at KD right now, and he's sitting there thinking, this thing hasn't been as good as I thought, right? And also KD's getting older.
Yeah.
A few more injuries. It's almost like an end of an era. LeBron and KD can't just do it by themselves anymore. What do you think, Simmons? Do you think the Simmons experiment, because it is an experiment, that he hasn't played for a year and a half, will it work?
I think there's a strong chance it does, because you're not asking Ben Simmons to play a position of skill. You're not asking him to be Ray Allen. You're not asking him to make shots. You're asking Ben Simmons to do things that he can do. All NBA defender, push the ball in transition, grab some boards. You're not asking Ben to be anything else. You have two guys, the two best scorers in the NBA. And you're saying, Ben, push in transition, get him some easy looks. Because when I look at Kevin Durant right now in this series, he's not getting easy looks. The defense is able to load up on KD. When I'm looking at Kyrie, he's better creating off the bounce, right?
Yeah, could I make this argument?
Talk to me.
Kyrie is not the ideal fit for KD because he's not a classic point. Chris Paul and KD would be way better. Kyrie's a scorer. He's basically Kobe, but smaller. And so you think to yourself, Kyrie and KD are great. No, Simmons with KD is a better fit. He doesn't need the shots. He'll score 20 with that. Yep. He was scoring 20 when he played without the jumper. So my argument is Kyrie and KD are successful because they're so damn talented. But they're not. I mean, Wade and LeBron were not perfect fits.
No, they
were
weren't.
just so great.
They bought in defensively, and that made them work. But when I look at Kyrie and KD, I think they can work in the sense that the higher that you go, it's not about offense. It's about guys who can go and get their shot. So you got the two best shot creators in the league, arguably, in Kyrie and KD, and maybe in history on the same team. They need that buffer. So remember when James Harden came in, the idea was point guard Harden. Get these guys shots. Hey, Kyrie goes down, be triple-double Harden. But for the most part, get these guys shots. If Ben Simmons works out, and he's going into dribble handoffs, he's running pick and rolls, he's getting to the rim, getting dunks, getting open looks, KD just needs an ounce of pressure relieved off of him. But Kevin Durant creating his shot off the bounce isn't best. But I want you to look for this, Colin. I remember I covered the Clippers in the series where, Patrick Beverley had a phenomenal game. He got up under, KD and rode him off and forced him and got real physical with him. And KD, that was the moment, hey, I'm Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant came back in the Clippers building, and what he did, he lit up the Clippers, and what he did, he simplified his game. So that's what I'm going to look for. Catch and shoot, one dribble pull-up. He became so efficient that you couldn't guard him, and that's when we're looking at Kevin Durant before the Achilles as the best player on the planet. So I think that adjustment is going to be intact, and they're going to have to do it from a team aspect, but you got to make things a lot easier on KD. And KD's so cerebral, man. He's watching that film, he's watching the tape, and knowing he got to be better.
So it's interesting with the Harden. I liked Philadelphia, who I thought had the right coach, the right star, the right chemistry. They got rid of a bunch of stuff, Curry, draft picks, Drummond, Ben, and they just brought one guy in. Now, the feeling is always with Harden, because he used to score 30 a game, that if he doesn't score 30, he's not successful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And my takeaway is, I don't know. I watched his distribution in Brooklyn get way better, and then I'm watching him play with Maxey, and he doesn't seem pissed that he's not always getting the shots. Is Harden actually doing, and we don't view him as team guy, he's sort of ISO guy, but is Harden saying, listen, man, I can facilitate, give you 18, facilitate, and we can win a title here. The perception is, what's happened to Harden? Is what's happening to him is he's more comfortable in his own skin, and he wants to win, and so he's going to give you 9 less a night. Or do you see, like, when he scores 17, are you like, this doesn't work for me?
It's funny, when I covered James this year, I was a Houston analyst. I covered him from a national perspective before, and when I was saying that he should have been the MVP of the league is because Harden will give you the big scoring numbers, but if Clint Capella was open at the rim, Harden would throw that thing out of bounds trying to get Capella the ball. He's so selfless, he was asked to score. That's what the team needed from him. I think he's bought into that role. I don't think that's something that James Harden minds at all. But there are moments where you're going to need, hey, give me that 38.
No, I need a bucket.
In a closeout game. But I think he's extremely comfortable in doing what he needs to do. And I'll give you this food for thought. I see a lot of parallels from Chris Paul and James Harden in the sense where Chris Paul, younger in his career, he give you those monster stat lines, 35, 15, 9 steals. He just was a workhorse. Chris in Houston gave you the big scoring, but Chris since then has realized he has to use his teammates, he has to use his mind. He's got to save it for the fourth quarters. I think that James Harden is in that in-between stage where he physically can't do what he used to do, and he's going to have to use that mental edge where, hey, man, I'm the distributor, but when you need me, I got to be ready. And then he's got a dog. I think Embiid's MVP of the league, in my opinion. He's got a dog in Embiid.
Yeah, now it is interesting, though. Harden's not giving us the points, so the immediate reaction from the media is, oh, he's not the same guy. Well, players, Tom Brady acknowledged late in his career, I can't carry bad receivers.
Yeah.
I got to get great receivers, then I can win you games. So the Warriors, again, you follow this stuff. You follow the G League. Are you shocked at how good Jordan Poole is? How valuable he suddenly is for this team?
Yes and no. The volumes that it speaks to me is culture. Colin, culture is king in a lot of scenarios. When you have a good culture, San Antonio for so long, you're plug and play with a lot of guys. And to me, what you've seen now from Jordan Poole and his explosion is they bought into him, they developed him, and now you're seeing the rewards of confidence. When we saw Golden State earlier in the year, it wasn't Curry. It was Jordan Poole being aggressive.
No, when you watch these highlights from him, he is aggressive. Like Steph generally will pull up. This kid will go right to the rim. He'll go right to the basket.
He's not playing like a second or third option. With all due respect to Andrew Wiggins had the big paycheck. Andrew Wiggins was like, I'm going to defend. I'm going to run the floor. I'm going to do what I need to do for this team to win. Poole is like, yo, I'm that dude. Like, all right, Steph, you take yours. I'm going to take mine. And now because he has that confidence, it's paying dividends. And I think the world is starting to realize Jordan Poole is like that.
Minnesota lost 2 20-point leads. They're young. They're kids. I look at it and think, yeah, of course they did. That's what young teams do. They did get the high and low. The veteran teams like Milwaukee gives you the same kind of thing. You ever been in a playoff game or a big game where you just – what did Memphis have? Was it a 20-0 run or a 24-0 run? Have you ever been on the bottom end of those things?
Yeah, I felt like I was on the other side. So when I was playing for the Clippers, we go up 2-0 at home. We're throwing parties. We're thinking about the celebration tour. We're up. We're better than Memphis. We got this. We go on and get, I don't know if you call it a gentleman's suite. We lose 4 straight games. 4 straight games in the most embarrassing fashion. So it wasn't a big 25-point give up, but it was like we were not as good as we thought they were, and they figured us out. So that's embarrassing because now you have to get back in the lab. In the summertime, you have to work out and go, why was I not able to score in this position? Why didn't we defend? What mistakes did we lose to go down 4 straight games to a team that we should have been better than? So I would say that's the most comparable thing that I see. But when I'm looking at Minnesota and I'm looking at Memphis, it's Memphis's time.
That's right. That's exactly right. Like they're a year and a half ahead in the process.
Yes.
Yeah. So by the way, Ja Morant goes out. They don't dip. Like right now, they have handed the organization to Ant. They need another offseason. Like they're transitioning from Cat's team to Ant's team, and we're watching them transition in real time. They need an offseason and a camp to kind of figure this out. Okay, Ryan Hollins, he's got a podcast, The Opinionated 7-Footers with Brendan Haywood. Great seeing you again in studio.
Appreciate it, brother.
Rockets analyst for the Houston Rockets. Okay, hour 2 on a Friday is next. Live in L.A., it's The Herd.